So if you've driven an electric vehicle in India lately, you know the exact feeling.
Oh, yeah, the panic.
Exactly, the panic. You are just staring at the dashboard, watching that battery percentage tick down to like 10%.
Right.
And you are quietly praying that the one public charger showing up on your app, which is like 20 miles away, actually works when you get there.
Right. Assuming it isn't occupied or just totally broken.
Yeah. Your palms are sweating. You turn down the air conditioning just to save a few kilometers of range. And you really hope you don't end up stranded on the side of the road.
Yeah.
So today, we're looking at the math behind that exact panic.
And it is a very real, very visceral panic for drivers, and it really stems from a fundamental mismatch in how this infrastructure is being built out. Because when we look at traditional infrastructure investing, I mean, things like highways or bridges, right? The math is usually incredibly straightforward. It's almost comforting, honestly. Like, it just makes sense. Exactly. You count the incoming cars, you pour the concrete for a new toll road, and eventually the equation balances itself out. It's a linear progression. You build it, they come, you get paid.
But stepping into the electric vehicle landscape in India right now, in 2026, you realize almost instantly that this linear math is just completely shattered.
It's totally broken.
Right. We are looking at a highly localized, fiercely capital-intensive gold rush. And frankly, it's one that is hiding some massive operational landmines.
Huge landmines.
Which is exactly why we are dedicating this deep dive to unpacking it. We are sharing our team's unified viewpoint, the core of Prashant's perspective on the harsh realities of the Indian EV infrastructure market. And let's just start with a metric that is genuinely staggering.
Yeah, lay it out.
So we pulled the numbers, and the current EV to charger ratio in India right now is 235 to 1.
We really need to pause and let that number sink in. 235 vehicles for every single public charger.
It's wild.
It is. And to put that into sharp focus for you, if you look at the global benchmark for a healthy, functional EV ecosystem, the kind where drivers don't experience that sweating panic you just mentioned, that standard sits at about 20 to 1.
So 20 to 1 is healthy, and we are operating at 235 to 1.
Right.
That means we are staring at a physical infrastructure deficit that is almost hard to conceptualize.
Right.
I mean, range anxiety isn't just some psychological hurdle, right, or like a lack of planning by the driver.
No, not at all.
At these ratios, it is a mathematical certainty. You are basically guaranteed to struggle to find a plug.
And the sheer physical scale of what is actually required to fix this deficit is just immense. Our internal projections show that to support the 50 million EVs expected to hit Indian roads by 2030, the country needs over 1.3 million public chargers.
Okay, let me just do the mental math on that runaway. Bridging a gap to 1.3 million by 2030, that requires deploying roughly 400,000 public chargers every single year from now until the end of the decade.
Yeah.
That is well over 1,000 installations every single day.
Every single day. It's an infrastructure rollout at a speed we just rarely see in the physical world.
I look at that massive deficit, and I immediately understand why everyone wants to jump into this space, right? Like, the EV population is scaling exponentially, yet the competition on the ground is still highly fragmented.
Oh, absolutely.
It is the ultimate selling shovels in a gold rush moment. Everybody sees the EVs flooding the streets, and everybody wants to be the one selling the electricity. But, and this is important here, is the critical warning we need to establish right at the top.
Yep.
If you buy the wrong shovel, or you buy it on the wrong terms, you are the one getting buried.
That is the fundamental reality of this market right now. You can't just throw money at a charging station and expect it to print cash. To actually capitalize on this 235 to 1 deficit without getting buried, you have to understand precisely what it costs to enter the arena.
Right.
We need to crack open the actual financial numbers. The CapEx, the capital expenditure required to step onto the playing field.
So let's talk about that upfront cash. Let's say I want to set up a standard 30 kilowatt DC fast charging station, just a single commercial charger in a tier 1 or tier 2 city. What is the actual check I am writing?
Well, based on our current breakdown, you need to allocate roughly 11 lakhs to 15 lakhs. And it is absolutely vital to understand the anatomy of that spend.
Okay.
Because the 30 kilowatt DC fast charger unit itself, like the actual certified hardware, will run you between 7 lakhs and 8.5 lakhs.
Wait, hang on. If the charger itself is only 8 lakhs, what on earth am I spending the other 7 lakhs on? Where is the rest of that budget vanishing to?
The rest is eaten by the unglamorous realities of construction, honestly. You have civil works,
Like digging?
yeah, digging trenches, pouring the concrete foundation, building protective canopies so the machine doesn't literally bake in the summer sun,
Right, of course.
and ensuring proper drainage so it doesn't short out during the monsoon. But then you also have the critical electrical infrastructure, specifically the distribution panel wiring required by the local discom.
Which is your regional electricity distribution company, right?
Exactly. Getting commercial load approval and running those high-capacity copper cables from the street to your machine, that isn't cheap at all. Add in annualized land lease deposits, municipal permits, and the back-end software integration so people can actually pay you.
Wow.
Yeah, those hidden costs compound incredibly fast.
That is wild. And remember, that 15 lakh figure is just for a single 30 kilowatt charger. I can only imagine what happens when you try to scale up.
Oh, it gets intense.
Say, I don't want just one charger. I want a prime metro configuration, like a 300 to 500 square foot plot in Mumbai, Delhi, or Bangalore, featuring 2 AC chargers alongside 1 high-capacity DC charger.
In that metro scenario, the cost scales violently. You are suddenly looking at an upfront CapEx of 25 lakhs to 55 lakhs.
55 less.
Easily. The real estate premiums for that kind of footprint in a major city, combined with the required electrical upgrades in those really dense urban grids, it pushes the budget into a completely different tier.
A 55 lakh metro setup is terrifying for a normal person. If I'm an everyday retail investor, I look at that price tag and I assume I am completely priced out of the game.
Naturally.
I'd probably start looking for a cheaper way in.
Sure, which brings us to the trap. I'm guessing this is exactly when those eager retail investors get targeted by these turnkey business-in-a-box franchise pitches. And conveniently, I see these pitches priced right at that 10 lakhs to 15 lakh sweet spot.
You nailed it. It's a highly predatory model. The intimidation of the real metro costs gets weaponized against everyday people. We really need to unmask these low-cost franchise traps.
Yeah, please do.
Because in many cases, what is being sold to you as a lucrative, easy entry franchise is actually just a marked-up hardware resale scheme.
I need you to explain this. Because if I'm paying 15 lakhs for a franchise, and the franchisor guarantees my ROI or promises some assured monthly payout, how are they actually making money? That sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. It practically operates like one in some instances. Here's the mechanic. The franchisor inflates the upfront price of the charging hardware significantly above its actual market value.
Okay.
So you buy into the franchise, overpaying for the equipment from day one by several lakhs. Then the franchisor takes a portion of your own money, the premium you just paid them, and they slowly drip feed it back to you month over month.
Oh.
Yeah. And they disguise this drip feed as an assured payout or a guaranteed ROI.
Let me wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
So if the hardware is worth 8 lakhs and they charge me 15 lakhs to join the franchise, they basically pocket 7 lakhs immediately.
Exactly.
And they pay me my guaranteed returns out of that 7 lakhs. They're essentially charging me a premium just to hand my own money back to me over time.
It creates a complete illusion of profitability. By the time you realize your actual charging revenues from real customers are negligible, the franchisor has already secured their hardware markup, and they've moved on to the next franchisee.
That is infuriating. But I guess it is exactly why we aggressively champion direct procurement. Like, if you want to enter this market, do not look for a middleman business in a box.
Never.
Buy certified hardware directly from reputable manufacturers. We're talking about companies like ZevPoint, ABB, Exacom. Buy the hardware, and then do the hard work of applying to the local discom for the power load yourself. By doing this, you keep 100% of your energy margins, and you completely bypass these exploitative franchise models. Let's take a momentary pause here. Just look at how rapidly these dynamics are shifting. We pull apart these numbers, we look past the marketing, and we find the hard truths, because that is exactly why we built Prashant's Perspective. If you're finding this deep dive valuable, take a slow second right now, hit that subscribe button, and join our community. And please, drop a comment below with your raw thoughts. I read every single comment myself.
It's worth remembering that true wealth isn't built on trends. It's built on understanding the plumbing beneath the trend.
The plumbing beneath the trend. I love that framing. Because let's say I listen to you, I avoid the franchise trap,
Right.
I buy the hardware direct from ABB, I keep my royalties at 0, I'm ready to plug in. I should be safe now, shouldn't I?
You would think so, right? But you are still facing the physical realities of the grid.
Oh no.
Yeah. The local grid is the silent killer of EV charging profitability. Upstream transformer upgrades alone can silently consume 15% to 28% of your total budget.
You're kidding.
I wish I was. You might find a brilliant piece of commercial land, but if the utility's local transformer down the street can't handle a sudden 50-kilowatt DC draw when a car plugs in, the utility company will literally make you pay to upgrade their infrastructure before they flip the switch for your station.
So I have to buy the utility company a new transformer just for the privilege of buying their electricity.
Pretty much.
Okay, so the physical grid is wildly expensive. But once it's plugged in, I just pay the monthly electricity bill like a normal business, right? I mean, as we dig into the operational models, I'm starting to see that it's the regulatory structure of the grid that will actually bankrupt a bad operator.
Yeah.
We really need to talk about time-of-day tariffs, or TODI.
This is a crucial pivot from hardware costs to operational energy costs. Let's use Maharashtra's state utility, MSEDCL, as our blueprint because their new regulatory framework is really setting the precedent nationwide.
Okay.
They have aggressively restructured their tariff system to control exactly when you consume power. During what they define as solar hours, which run from 9:00 a.m. to 5:00 p.m., they offer a massive 20% to 30% rebate.
That's huge.
It is. Power during the day is incredibly cheap because the state has abundant solar generation flooding the grid. They want you to use it then?
I can see the catch coming, though, because the pendulum swings drastically in the other direction, right? During peak hours from 5:00 p.m. to midnight, they slap you with a brutal 20% surcharge premium on every single unit of electricity you dispense.
Exactly. And this creates a fatal collision for charging operators. Just think about human behavior. 5:00 p.m. to midnight is the exact window when retail public charging demand spikes the hardest.
Oh, of course. People leave the office, they run evening errands, they meet friends for dinner, and they realize they need a top-up to get home.
Right. So your absolute highest volume of sales aligns perfectly with your most punitive operational costs.
Now wait. I've seen investors use a clever workaround for this in the past. The legacy logic was to just build a massive solar canopy over the charging station.
Yeah, that used to be the move.
Right? You generate virtually free power during the day when the sun is out. You bank those credits with the utility company on a ledger, and then you use those credits to offset your heavy consumption at night when the cars actually arrive. It's a nice accounting trick. But the 2026 regulations just broke that playbook completely, didn't they?
Completely shattered it. It's a massive policy shift called the 2026 same-slot solar banking restriction. Under these new rules, it is no longer an accounting trick. It is a strict physical limitation.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means you can now only use exported solar energy to offset consumption in that exact same time slot. You are legally forbidden from carrying daytime solar credits into the evening peak window.
It's essentially like getting a 50% off coupon for a lunch buffet, but trying to redeem it for a steak dinner at 8:00 p.m. The utility company is flat out saying no. Your 2:00 p.m. power expires at 5:00 p.m.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. And the math on this new restriction is just devastating for legacy setups. If your canopy generates excess solar at 2:00 p.m. and there are no cars there to use it, you are forced to sell it back to the discom for a heavily discounted rate.
Like how discounted?
Around 3 rupees to 3.50 per unit. But a few hours later at 5:00 p.m. when cars are actually lined up at your station, you are forced to buy that power back from the grid at the surcharged peak rate of over 11 rupees per unit.
So you are selling your own power for 3 rupees and buying it back for 11.
Yeah, it completely destroys the unit economics of a standalone solar canopy.
Okay, my head is spinning. With same-slot solar banking practically dead, and utility companies charging a 20% premium during my busiest hours, how is anyone surviving this? How do you keep the lights on without bleeding money every evening?
The answer lies in hardware evolution, specifically the integration of battery energy storage systems. This is no longer an optional luxury for a charging station. It is a literal necessity for survival. By installing a massive commercial lithium battery on site, you fundamentally change your relationship with the grid.
Break that down for me. I put a giant battery next to my chargers. Then what?
You use that on-site battery to store the cheap daytime power you pull from your solar panels, or you pull massive amounts of power directly from the grid between 9:00 a.m. and 5:00 p.m. when that 30% afternoon rebate is active. You store it all locally.
Got it.
Then the clock strikes 5:00 p.m. and the brutal 20% surcharge kicks in. At that moment, you physically disconnect your chargers from the grid. You bypass the peak pricing window entirely by dispensing power into your customers' cars directly from your own battery.
Oh, that's clever. So I'm not just dodging the 20% evening surcharge. I'm also dramatically cutting my peak demand loads on the utility company, which lowers my fixed monthly charges. But are these giant batteries actually viable to buy and operate safely in India?
The supply chain has finally matured to make this viable at scale. Look at Good Enough Energy's new 7 gigawatt-hour gigafactory in Noida. They are producing massive commercial-scale batteries using lithium iron phosphate or LFP chemistry.
Why is LFP important?
LFP is crucial. Unlike older battery types that carry a thermal runaway risk, LFP provides the extreme thermal stability needed to survive 45-degree Indian summers safely. The technology is finally here and being manufactured domestically to make this daily energy arbitrage profitable.
I see the pieces coming together, and this is exactly why we need to look at real-world masterclasses. I want to know how the institutional giants are playing this game, because they are dealing with the exact same hardware costs, grid restrictions, and tow tariffs we are.
Right, they can't magically avoid the grid rules.
Exactly. So let's analyze three very distinct corporate profiles. First up, Tata Power Easy Charge.
Tata Power is the definition of an asset-heavy centralized behemoth in this space. They have over 7,000 charge points deployed, and they run a 247 centralized network operations center, an NOC. Imagine a massive room with screens monitoring every single plug in the country. Their singular goal is zero downtime. If a charger faults in Bangalore, the NOC in Mumbai knows about it instantly and attempts to reboot it before the customer even notices. It offers incredible reliability and builds massive consumer trust.
I see the appeal of that reliability, especially for a driver dealing with range anxiety. But if I am an investor partnering with them, isn't giving up my revenue a massive trade-off?
It is a significant trade-off. If you invest with them, you are subjected to very strict corporate guardrails, you must use their mandated hardware, and you are surrendering a noticeable slice of your top-line revenue to their network royalties. You get peace of mind, sure, but your margins are capped.
Contrast that with what Jio-bp Pulse is doing. This model fascinates me because they aren't trying to franchise on every street corner or manage thousands of random partnerships. They are executing a walled garden strategy, heavily focused on massive highway dominance.
Yes, look at their 2.7 megawatt Sakinaka hub in Mumbai as a prime example. They are deploying immense corporate capital into these megasites. But what is truly brilliant is their friction strategy.
Friction, like making it hard to use.
Yeah. In tech, we usually want to remove friction. But to even initiate a charge at a Jio-bp station, users are forced to maintain a minimum digital wallet balance of 50 rupees in the Pulse app.
I love the retail psychology here. By forcing you to load 50 rupees, they lock you into their closed digital ecosystem. It creates a sunk cost fallacy. The driver thinks, well, I already have money in the Jio app. I might as well find a Jio charger.
Spot on, and it gets deeper. While the driver is physically trapped at that highway hub for a 40-minute dwell time waiting for their car to charge, Jio-bp monetizes that wait.
Let me guess, food.
Exactly. They have co-located Wild Bean cafes on site. They turn a boring infrastructure stop into a captive retail environment. You are a captive audience for a 300 rupee sandwich and an expensive coffee while you wait. It's an aggressive ecosystem lock-in where the electricity is almost just the bait to get you into the cafe.
That is so smart. But what if I don't have Reliance-level corporate capital to build a mega hub with a cafe?
That brings us to our third profile, which honestly might be my favorite approach to this entire industry, the Pune Municipal Corporation.
Cities usually struggle to run profitable businesses, but this is an absolute masterclass in public-private partnerships, or PPPs.
It really is a massive success story for independent operation. The city of Pune realized they had incredible assets. I mean, prime, high-footfall real estate in urban centers, but they didn't want to take on the CapEx risk or the operational headache of running chargers.
Makes sense.
So they offered 82 prime public sites on an 8-year lease to a private operator, Marine Electricals, who manages the network via their Bilify app.
The terms of this deal are incredible, too. The private operator funds 100% of the CapEx. They buy the hardware, they pour the concrete, they handle the daily maintenance. The city takes zero financial risk and spends no taxpayer money. But in return, the operator shares exactly 50% of the net profits with the city. And they guarantee public footfall by capping the consumer tariffs between 13 and 19 rupees per unit. Everyone involved wins.
The city monetizes unused land, consumers get reliable and capped charging rates, and the private operator gets access to prime metro real estate they could otherwise never afford to lease. They have an 8-year runway to amortize their investment and turn a massive profit alongside the city.
Okay, this brings us to the most important part of the deep dive. We've pulled together the scary CapEx realities, the grid plumbing, the toady tariffs, the battery requirements, and the corporate playbooks. It is time for a final strategic verdict. If someone is listening to this with capital ready to deploy, when do they actually step in and when do they walk away? Let's outline the green lights first.
You should aggressively deploy capital directly if you meet specific structural criteria. First, if you already own prime commercial land or you have secured a very low-cost, long-term lease.
Okay, real estate is key.
Second, if you have secured B2B fleet offtake contracts, meaning you aren't relying on random retail drivers, but you have guaranteed baseline utilization from local delivery logistics or taxi fleets charging every night.
Guaranteed customers.
Yeah.
Love it. And the third?
Or third, if you possess pre-existing unused transformer capacity on your property that doesn't require a massive utility upgrade. If you have those distinct advantages, go direct, avoid the franchise fees, and capture 100% of the margins.
And on the flip side, the red lights. When should an investor look at a site and abstain entirely?
You must walk away immediately if the site requires massive upstream utility upgrades just to get power. You must walk away if you are burdened by high monthly metro rents that demand impossible daily utilization just to break even on the lease.
Right.
Or crucially, you must walk away if your financial model relies on a standalone solar canopy without a BS battery to survive those evening peaks. Without the battery storage, the 2D tariffs will bleed your operational margins dry every single night.
Which leaves us with a highly provocative thought to close this out. We started this whole discussion by looking at EV chargers as simple infrastructure. You know, the modern equivalent of pouring concrete for a toll booth and plugging in cars.
Yeah.
But look at where we ended up. If surviving the evening peak surcharge absolutely requires you to install massive lithium battery storage on site and requires you to actively arbitrage grid power, storing it cheaply during the day just to deploy it profitably at night, are you actually investing in a mobility business anymore? Or are you, in reality, becoming a decentralized microgrid operator who just happens to serve cars as a byproduct?
That is the exact paradigm shift happening right now. You aren't just selling a charge to a vehicle, you are actively managing a localized energy market.
It completely reframes the entire identity of the industry. Keep questioning the infrastructure, keep doing the mental math out loud, and keep digging past the superficial numbers. This is the Prashant's Perspective team, signing off. Keep exploring the plumbing beneath the trend.